Welcome to the meeting of Hunterdon Central Regional High School Board of Education. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6, and that advance notice required therein has been provided. Meeting notice has also been posted in the boardroom of the Upper School campus, sent to the Courier News, Star Ledger, Express Times, and the Hunterdon County Democrat, and sent to the clerks of Delaware Township, East Amwell Township, Flemington Borough, Raritan Township, and Reddington Township. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda. Mrs. Stokes, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Bletfield? Mrs. Duggan?
Here.
Ms. Gong? Here. Mrs. Kellogg? Here. Mrs. O'Donnell? Here. Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Mrs. Ruthell? Here. Mr. Reimer?
Here.
And Mrs. Santangelo? Here.
Okay, thank you. If we could stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. O'Donnell, if you can read the mission statement, please.
Hunterdon Central is an innovative educational community dedicated to the intellectual, social, and emotional safety and growth of all students. While fostering curiosity and promoting wellness, we aspire to create powerful learning experiences, establish strong partnerships, and serve as contributing members of society.
Thank you. So I'd like to move to the approval of the minutes for November 25th, 2024.
Second.
Okay. Any conversation? Okay. Ms. Stokes, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Bletfield? Yes. Mrs. Duggan?
Yes.
Ms. Gong? Yes. Mrs. Kellogg? Yes. Mrs. O'Donnell? Yes. Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Ruthell? Yes. Mr. Reimer?
Yes.
And Mrs. Santangelo?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. There was no correspondence received this month, so we can move on now to the superintendent report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I know our board meeting was not too long ago. I'm going to give a brief report tonight because I want to be sure we give enough time and attention to our student and staff honorees this evening. I am sure I don't have to tell you, but December is a very busy time for everyone. We have college admissions applications and in some cases admissions decisions for seniors. We also have many of our winter athletics starting up, and this is also the start of season for many of our clubs and co-curricular activities that compete. I'm going to let our student representatives, Bronwyn and Aaron, fill you in on all of that in just one moment. But here in the district, we're also preparing for the 2025-2026 school year, believe it or not. As you'll see on the agenda, on operations and transportation section, we have begun our budget planning process, so the calendar is there for your review. And in addition, as I noted in my report last month, we have our 2025-2026 school year calendar for your approval this evening. This calendar was developed in collaboration with our Education Association, the School Improvement Panel, and our K-8 sending districts. One of the biggest changes is that our staff will start just prior to Labor Day with in-service days on Wednesday, August 27th and Thursday, August 28th, 2025. Students will start right after Labor Day on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. As I found out in working with our sending districts, this will actually align us better with them. We will also have graduation on June 18th, 2026, which is prior to the state observance of Juneteenth. This will avoid some of the inefficiencies that we are seeing with our calendar this year. And looking ahead to January, we're very excited to begin to meet our class of 2029. We will visit each middle school to speak with 8th grade students. We will also host a World of Possibilities, open house and electives exploration on January 16th. Current parents and 8th grade parents are invited to attend starting at 6:30 p.m. to explore elective offerings, speak with teachers, tour campus, and there will be a special presentation for 8th grade parents. More information will be sent out soon, and I also hope to see some of you at our January 16th World of Possibilities event. I am now going to ask our student representatives, Bronwyn and Aaron, to give their report.
Good evening, everyone. Our names are Bronwyn Downey and Aaron Johnston. We are the student representatives on this Board of Education, and we will be giving a student report tonight about events, student ideas, and various ways the school is finishing out the year strongly from Central students.
To begin, Central students and teachers alike had a very relaxing and needed break this Thanksgiving. The chorus and instrumental music programs were able to put on a day of music for our ascending middle school students right before break, where we got to showcase our outstanding musical talents and display the amazing opportunities that this school has for music, including things like jazz band and chorale. December was a great month for performances, from the instrumental and chorus concerts to the Stars Showcase and the Thespian and Tri-Am Music Honor Society collaboration last Friday with their annual holiday event, Carols and Cocoa.
Winter sports are underway with the hockey team winning their first games 5-0 over Fairlawn on December 11th and 4-2 over Pingree on the 13th. Girls and boys basketball have been having scrimmages to prepare for the season, as well as swimming and wrestling. The fencing and bowling teams have been preparing for their matches coming up this and next week, and the dance team had their winter showcase on Saturday night with great attendance and support from family and friends. Everyone's excited to get out to games and see our winter athletes.
In other news, our students with an interest in social studies, history, as well as community service were inducted into the Rho Kappa Honor Society on December 2nd. Our HCRHS academic team swept the competition in the Warren Hunterdon academic meet and won first place, so congratulations to all of its members. There was also an early college planning night for our 9th and 10th grade families on December 4th to introduce SCORE, which is the student college search tool used here at Central, and to discuss future options for our underclassmen.
It's hard to believe, but winter break is almost here. Our Spirit Week began today with Pajama Day and will conclude with Stages of Life Day on Friday, with each grade dressing up as senior citizen, adults, little kids, and babies, with teachers dressing up as teens. As student representatives, we are extremely grateful for being able to share student input directly with the board and are excited for the new year to come. The amazing students being honored here tonight proves the immense passion students have for making a positive difference both in our community and at Central. Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you both. And I know you both need to leave right now in order to join with the other students we're honoring tonight, so feel free. And with that, we're going to go into our next portion of the evening to celebrate the accomplishments and recognitions of our students and staff. This is one of my favorite meetings of the year because it really is spectacular to see so many students here. I do want to ask our students and families to stay through the entirety of this presentation, as well as our student research presentation. We will make sure we take a short pause prior to our first public comment, so those who need to leave can exit. I know some of the students here need to get home and study. Some of them were actually telling me this earlier today. So also our student honorees, I'm going to ask you to pause for a photo as you come across. So you'll see some photographers here in the center and over on the edge. If you wouldn't mind pausing for a photo, that we'll make sure you get as well. And then I will ask our Board of Education if you wouldn't mind moving to the first row so that we can actually see the students as they're walking across and clap for them. So go ahead and move now, and then I'll ask Mr. Brandt to kick us off. Do that first. Okay, and I'm sitting up here alone, but not for long. I'm going to ask Mr. Brandt to come to the podium to kick us off. We're going to begin with honoring our Governor's Educator of the Year and Educational Services Professional of the Year, and then we will move into our student and staff recognitions. So I will take a pause now, and we will get ready for our recognitions.
It's all right. Good evening. Before we start honoring our students, we have two staff members first that we'd like to honor. Each year, every school in the state of New Jersey honors a teacher and an educational services professional of the year, and as part of the Governor Educator of the Year awards. So first, I'm going to take care and introduce and welcome, and you can join me in congratulating our two selected adults here. So first, Adam Leonard. Mr. Leonard, if you don't mind coming down.
Thank you.
I'll be right there. So like me, Mr. Leonard's a little shy about speaking, so I'm going to speak on his behalf. The irony is he advises speech and debate incredibly. So Mr. Leonard is a highly effective and influential educator who has had a positive impact on students and fellow staff members alike. In his social studies classrooms, Mr. Leonard designs, develops, and facilitates dynamic learning experiences for all learners. As stated by one of his peers, Adam works diligently in service of his students without seeking acclaim. He is one of the most knowledgeable members of the department. One of his students shared that he truly cares about engaging his students, and these efforts come across in his lesson plans. From mock trials to historical debates to manuscript making, Mr. Leonard never fails to make learning interesting. Aside from teaching social studies for the last 17 years here, Mr. Leonard is also the advisor of both Rho Kappa, which is the National Honor Society for Social Studies, and speech and debate. Each of these activities provides dozens of students the opportunity to flourish in leadership and interactive, authentic ways outside of the classroom. This brings value to educating the whole child and allows many students to have a sense of belonging and pride here at Hunterdon Central. Congratulations, Mr. Leonard, as Governor's Educator of the Year, Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats. And if I could have Miss Jessica Emili join me down here. That's for you. So Jessica Emili is in her 6th year as a library media specialist here and 13th year overall in education. Jessica Emili is a knowledgeable, collaborative, and innovative media specialist who positively influences the learning environment for both students and fellow staff members. As one of our media specialists, Ms. Emili helps design and facilitate valuable learning experiences in our IMC, both for full classes as well as individual learners. Jessica worked alongside classroom teachers in making meaningful connections between the resources our IMC offers and the relevant lesson plans our teachers develop. Such connections have been influential to all learners, including our multi-language learners. Jessica also provides valuable resources to our entire district through the weekly Tuesday Tech Tips as an informal, ongoing professional development for our staff members. This, in turn, influences the learning experiences for all of our students. Jessica Emili serves as a model for all modern librarians in education and the community as a whole. She is one of the key reasons our IMC is a learning hub on our campus. So congratulations, Ms. Emili, our Governor Educator of the Year, Educational Services Professional of the Year.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks. Congrats. Yep. Sure. I got it. I can do it. That's it. We're good. Perfect. I would say come across the front. I'm going to switch gears here to the next portion. So, as principal here at Hunterdon Central, I'm pleased to be able to introduce to you a number of students and fellow staff members who are to be recognized by the Board of Education this evening for outstanding accomplishments. These great feats took place in all areas of our excellent offerings, such as curriculum instruction, counseling services, co-curricular activities, and athletics. I'm going to first pass it over to Dr. Matt Hall, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, to present just some of our well-deserved students. Dr. Hall.
Good evening, everybody. Boy, this is a great first meeting for me to be here with you. I could get used to this. Our first group of students we're going to recognize actually aren't here because many of them graduated, but we didn't acknowledge them in the summer, and their accomplishment is noteworthy, so I wanted to share that with you. We have 7 students who had demonstrated proficiency, not just in English and one other language in order to earn their seal of biliteracy, but actually 2 other languages and have earned the seal of triliteracy. So I'd like to recognize Amira Mocklin, who demonstrated proficiency in Arabic, Spanish, and English, Mona Lee for Chinese, Spanish, and English, Mia Aquino for French, Spanish, and English, Maya Hernandez, French, Spanish, and English, Natalie Hernandez, French, Spanish, and English. You did come. Sophia Trevino, French, Spanish, and English, and Ilya Kudimov, proficient in Russian, Spanish, and English. I'm very jealous. Excellent job. Thank you. Next, we have students whose research contributions reflect their intellectual curiosity and commitment to academic excellence, and their commitment toward seeking solutions to address real-world challenges. Their work has been published in publications such as the Journal of Student Research and the National High School Journal of Science. And wait till you hear the names of some of these studies. Jerry, you're going to love these. So first, we have Tatiana Halinka for Cultivating Sustainability, a sequential quantitative study identifying barriers affecting New Jersey's urban agricultural organizations across food deserts. We have Parth Jain for, you can stay up here. Oh, okay. Okay. We'll get a photo. Parth Jain. Access to educational robotics linked to socioeconomic status, a correlational analysis. We have Vishram Rajesh. An extension of pathfinding algorithms for randomly determined speeds. We have Connor Stager. The impact of test anxiety on the uniform bar exam, a statistical study of law graduates' barriers. And we have Alex Zatuchny. A database of artificial intelligence analysis of an unknown protein, and Alex, you can correct me, Landoltia punctata. Spotted duckweed. So, congratulations. Sure. Thank you. Okay, so you'll notice there's some cycling here, so. So the following two students were selected for the prestigious New Jersey Governor STEM Scholars Program. Honorees for this award are selected from among New Jersey's highest achieving students, ranging from high school sophomores all the way up to doctoral candidates. Participants are chosen based on academic excellence and a demonstrated passion for STEM. The purpose of this program is to strengthen the state's STEM talent pipeline by providing opportunities for scholars to attend conferences, participate in field trips, and conduct research, helping them to explore professional pathways and jumpstart their future STEM careers. So any of you who are looking for potential STEM candidates, take note. So we welcome up here Sarah Bonzel and Connor Stager. We also celebrate students accepted into elite musical ensembles through rigorous auditions which showcase their exceptional talent. So this first one, we have Abby Black, Annalise Guerrero, Brooklyn Hopkins, Adriana Lopinko, Carly Perrine, and Luke Schnaut, who were selected from over 400 Central New Jersey students through a rigorous audition process into the prestigious Central New Jersey Region Honors Choir. They've already begun practicing for a concert in Monroe Township on January 26th. That's exciting. We'll call Annalise back up here too. Annalise Guerrero, Carly Perrine, Adriana Lopinko were also selected for the All-Eastern Honors Choir. Annalise, Carly, and Adriana were selected from over 2,000 student auditions received from 12 northeastern states. They'll perform in Hartford, Connecticut at the National Association of Music Education's Eastern Conference in late April. And last but not least, we have Max Kenny, who was selected for the Central Jersey Region Wind Ensemble. Only 5% of auditioners are accepted to this elite wind ensemble. Max has already begun rehearsing and will perform at Rutgers on January 12th. Congratulations, Max. Oh. All right. Okay. And I'll turn it over now to Dr. Zurawicki.
Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Zurawicki. I'm the supervisor of counseling, and I'm here to introduce a number of students who have received some academic accolades within this year. And so first, I'm going to start by explaining a little bit about the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. They select students based on an index score that they get on the PSAT, right? That's like the practice SAT that we give every year. So what's really important to note is that this selection index score is actually different for each state. And so every year I look to kind of see where New Jersey is. And once again, we are tied with the District of Columbia with being the highest cutoff in the country. So what that means is for students in New Jersey, this is harder to get than if you are in other states. And so I say that because there's a number of students here with a variety of different awards. So first, I'm going to start off by recognizing the National Merit Commended students. They are recognized for their outstanding ability and potential for academic success in college, and they have received commendations from the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. They are Selena Busi, Parth Jain, Visvam Rajesh, Dylan Salita, Cole Sladowski, Ian Weitz, and Gavin Snyder. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. We do have a number of them, so here they are. All right, thank you guys. I think some of you have to go back in line. Go, go, go. Okay. Okay, so next up, I'm going to recognize, we had 2 National Merit semifinalists, one of whom is here today. And this is really important because more than 16,000 of high scorers in the country, which actually represent less than 1% of the nation's high school graduating seniors, will qualify as semifinalists. Only some semifinalists will have an opportunity to advance in the competition for the National Merit Scholarship Award. And so I have Alex Satechny here today. Congratulations. Get your picture. Are we in the way? I'll take a picture here. Okay. Thank you. All right, Alex, I think you're... Go back. Yes. You got another one. My mom's there. Oh, I'm sorry. We needed a mom picture. Okay. So next, I have the privilege of recognizing the 2024 College Board National Recognition Program. So this is students who are also recognized for scores on their PSATs, but also they have to be within the top percentage. They have to get a cumulative GPA. They have to also identify as first generation, Black or African American, Hispanic, Latino, Indigenous or Native American students, and attend a school in a rural area or a small town. And so today we have Damon Breffo and Alexander Vargas Garcia. Congratulations. Want to come get a picture? Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Okay. So I have one more. So this is in recognition of the AP Capstone Diploma. So AP Capstone is a diploma program from College Board based on 2 year-long AP courses, AP Seminar and AP Research, of which you heard a few of the their papers that were published. AP Seminar is a foundational course in which students explore the complexities of academic and real-world issues. AP Research allows students to deeply explore an academic topic, problem, issue, or idea of individual interest. Students who earn scores of 3 or higher in AP Seminar and AP Research and on 4 additional AP exams of their choosing receive the AP Capstone Diploma. So we're very fortunate to have a number of them here today. So I'm going to read them off. Hold your applause to the end. We have Selena Busi, Tatiana Hilinka, Marissa Miglorino, I told her I would try to do that, Visvam Rajesh, Cole Sladowski, Dylan Salita, Connor Stager, Alex Satechny, and Parth Jain. And their teachers are here with them today. All right. Congratulations. Their teachers do deserve some of the credit too. Those are 2 very hard courses, so I just want to say that. I am now turning it back over to Mr. Brandt. Thank you.
All right, 2 more groups. I'm going to speak now on behalf of our Dean of Students, Mr. Scott Cohen, who couldn't be here tonight. Right now, I'm going to highlight some of the accomplishments of students in co-curricular activities. So if the students here from speech and debate speech and debate. If you can come on up. And Mr. Leonard, if you don't mind, as advisor. Why don't you guys come over this way? Shift down a little bit. So speech and debate spends not only a lot of time during or after school preparing, but many weekends where they compete against many schools throughout the Mid-Atlantic, really. And if you've ever driven by here when we host one of them, it looks like a full day of school on a Saturday because basically 90% of our classrooms are full of speech and debate activities going on. So here we have Leon De Vera, who won a top non-advancing novice in impromptu speaking. And we have Shelby Manning. Shelby Manning won 6th place in the congressional debate. We have Subhash Durba, who won 3 different awards here. 5th place in congressional debate one weekend, 1st place in congressional debate, and also 1st place in varsity parliamentary debate. And we have Suhan Baru, 1st place in varsity parliamentary debate, and Sarah Bonsall, who won 5th place in novice original oratory. So congratulations to you at speech and debate. If I can have the members of the academic team up here. Academic team, thank you, congratulations. It's okay. So we have 2 of a number of the members of the academic team, and just like any sports, we have county championships. We also have an academic team championship here with Warren and Hunterdon counties. And just a couple weekends ago, actually it was during the week up at Voorhees. That's right, they had a field trip up there and beat out all the other member schools of the 2 counties. We have Philip Kazanson and Damon Breffo. Congratulations. Congratulations. Their picture on winning day happens to be on the webpage right now, too. Congratulations. Fantastic job. We also had a couple weekends ago an incredible production of Anti-Mame. If anybody didn't get a chance to see it, you missed out on something that was spectacular. And it was an 11-12 play production. If I could have the members of them come on up. This is not the whole cast. But we have a number of members here tonight, along with Gail Anterline. Congratulations. So I'm naming in the order of appearance as it comes out in the program, if you would. So we have Gary Carter, Caitlin Osborne, Casey Schungrund, Ryan Bastow, Ash Andreopoulos, Bronwyn Downey, Joshua Fisher, Anastasia Feldman, and Lacey Sova. Lacey, congratulations. If I may add, too, because I want a little shout out to Lacey there, too. If you haven't been to one of our productions, either of a play or a musical, and having been in sports as a coach, I've never seen this happen, but I've seen it here. If you sit in the back, all of a sudden, you notice that the advisors are also in the back because they take a back seat once the curtain goes up, because our student directors are the ones who are running the show. An impressive job every time. So congratulations, all of you. Thank you. Good? All right. And Ash, if you don't mind staying up here. A special shout out to Ash and other members of the Soldier Support Club. This past fall especially, and over the summer, they're constantly working together in recognizing and highlighting and showing appreciation to our veterans, both current and past. And Ashley Gurnay, yep, as advisor, thank you, excellent. Most recently, too, if you were here for Veterans Day, they helped put together an amazing tribute to the members of our staff who've served in any of the armed forces. And it's a wonderful thing that they do, and I know that the staff members are honored for all the work that you put in there. So again, congratulations and thank you for your work. I'm going to shift gears to the last segment. I'm putting the athletic hat on right now, and I'm going to speak on behalf of Jesse Spencer, our supervisor of athletics. So if I can have members of the girls tennis team coming up. So the girls tennis team won the Hunterdon Warren Sussex Teen Championships this year, and we have in our attendance tonight, Manasi Vendra, Tatiana Halinka, Amy St. McClousey, Caitlin Cavucci, Nicole Cavucci, and Eva Graziano. Congratulations, champions. Congratulations. Little handshakes on the way back. If I can have members of the girls volleyball team. Girls volleyball. So this is just a few of the members, but I'd like to give a shout out to Claire Fabonio, Paige Tomeno. We have Rebecca Rincon, Alexandria Shedlock, and Olivia Garbolino. Again, they won the Skyland Division champions this year, divisional champions, and amazing to watch them in the Wooden Gym. It's one of the loudest places that we have here during the school year, and it's fantastic. And while you're up here, if you don't mind, I'd like to highlight that Rebecca Rincon, first team All-Conference and Skyland Player of the Year award. Congratulations. And Alexandria Shedlock and Olivia Garbolino, second team All-Conference. Congratulations. Good? Good handshake? All right, got it. If I could have members, the following members of the field hockey team that are here. Jen Sponzo, coach, if you'd like to come up and join them. Nope. We'll have another Sponzo up here anyway, right? So we had 5 All-Stars, if you would, and 3 of them are here. Jocelyn Sponzo, first team All-Conference. Sienna DePaulo and Selena Eto, second team All-Conference. Congratulations. You got it? If I could have the members of the girls' soccer team up here. Girls' soccer. Girls soccer team had an excellent year. And representing them and the other All-Stars, if you would, Sarah Erb, who was named first team All-Conference, and Erin Johnston, All-Conference as well. Congratulations. Paige Breck, gymnastics, please. Gymnastics, again, is a fantastic sport. If you haven't been to one of their events, it's amazing to watch. Thrilling and also a bit scary. You guys do some amazing work. So Paige was a first team All-Conference, joining some other members as well. So Paige, congratulations. And I've had 3 members of the football team, if you wouldn't mind, coming up, gentlemen. Football team made a mad rush into the playoffs as well. Fantastic Friday nights here, and I'd like to recognize Kyle Atier, first team All-Conference. Quinn Fisher, also first team All-Conference. And Tyler Suck, who ended up playing only half the year due to an injury, still made second team All-Conference, if you can imagine that. Congratulations, gentlemen. Congratulations. Thanks. Yep. Thanks. Just double checking. Did I miss anybody who snuck in after we started? All right, we're good. All right. Thank you. I'm going to pass it over to you. Yep. Is he using this?
All right, I'm going to continue on. So congratulations again to each of you. No one's really hearing this, but I'm going to do it for the record. I also want to thank our teachers and staff. Thank you, staff, for staying. And as well as our families for their support. We know that this success does not happen alone. We're grateful to be partners with you in your child's education. Okay, so as I noted earlier, this has become one of my favorite board meetings of the year because I'm always in awe of our students' accomplishments. It occurred to me that you all get to take part in these recognitions twice per year, but that you may not realize just what our students do to bring their school experiences to fruition. So as I've been thinking about that, I've also been thinking about our district goals regarding inclusive opportunities and community connectedness. What I want to be sure we also recognize tonight is that many of our students take their experiences here at Central and their honors and recognition and continue to learn and grow. This fall, I learned that one of our seniors, Parth Jain, had the opportunity to do just this in October, presenting at the MIT Undergraduate Research Conference. I asked Parth to share his experience with you all to highlight how our students make these connections and take them even further to create powerful learning experiences that help prepare them for their futures. So I'm just going to help Parth get set up, and then he will present to you. Sorry, they weren't supposed to leave. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay. You got it. It's
A lot of pressure now.
It's a lot less. All right, he told me hit this. He told me hit connect. Oh, we're in. Oh, let me hit mute though. All right, now. Slideshow? Oh, wait, I gotta go back one. Back
There we
another.
go.
There we go.
All right, thank you everybody for taking the time to be here and listen to me speak. My name is Parth Jain. I'm a senior, part of the class of 2025, and I'm going to be speaking a little bit about my research, which was based around detecting and filling potholes in urban environments. I know the title looks complicated, but the research isn't as complicated as the title makes it seem, I promise. So today I'm going to take you through the steps of my research, starting with the Governor's School experience. I did this research as part of the New Jersey Governor's School of Engineering and Technology program. New Jersey runs 2 Governor's Schools programs, one in engineering and technology and the other one in the sciences. I was fortunate enough to be nominated by our school to participate in the New Jersey Governor's School for Engineering and Technology program and was fortunate enough to be one of 60 scholars selected. I'm going to begin this presentation by speaking a little bit about my experience at the Governor's School and how it shaped me in some amazing ways. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about my research and the road to getting to the MIT Undergraduate Research Conference. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Hunterdon Central and how it's prepared me for this experience. So I'm going to start with the Governor's School experience. The Governor's School was a 3-week, fully paid program at Rutgers University. I stayed in the dorms, I ate college food, even though it wasn't that good, and I took university-level classes. So I was really lucky to be one of 60 scholars to participate in this program, and I was really fortunate to be around like-minded peers who also had similar interests in engineering technology. We took field trips to leading companies in the industry like Lockheed Martin. We took university-level classes from Rutgers professors in things like robotics, physics, and CAD. So it was a really great experience. But the capstone of the Governor's School program was a 3-week research project. We spent countless hours working to develop a research project which had 2 steps. The first step was designing a system and collecting data on it to prove that the system works. And the second step was writing a 10 to 15 page research paper on the process that we went through. Obviously, in 3 weeks, this was quite a task. But I'm going to go through a little bit more about the resources I had prepared and what we ended up doing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my research. The research objective was to develop a system that could locate and fill potholes. As a new driver, me and all of my group mates, we've all had to worry about swerving around potholes, and it's a nuisance, it's annoying, and I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. So our goal was to find a way to develop a system that could locate potholes autonomously and fill them. The field of research was autonomous robotic systems, so think your self-driving cars, your systems that work on their own, robots like that, and smart city infrastructure, which is basically infrastructure in a city that can learn from its own mistakes. It collects data on itself and uses that data to improve itself. And based on these 2 research fields, we came up with our research objective. So, like I said, doing this in 3 weeks was not an easy feat, but we were lucky to have incredible resources behind us that made this a lot easier. We had a really dedicated group of RTAs, which were research teaching assistants, who were Governor's School alumni themselves. So they knew the stress of doing this in 3 weeks, and they were able to help us through not only the decision-making process, but with a lot of the design and engineering choices. They were all undergraduate students at top universities, and so they not only were able to tell us a little bit about what it would be like going into engineering in college, but also contribute their class knowledge to our project. In addition, we were able to get a $500 to $700 budget. This was a budget shared by all of GovSchool, and that budget allowed us to buy the parts needed to develop a prototype. The biggest factor, though, was our industry mentors. My group was fortunate enough to have 2 engineers from Lockheed Martin show up every week to help mentor this project. They told us about their jobs and what their careers in engineering was like, but they also helped us structure our project. They helped us make design choices, and they also just contributed deeply far beyond the research. They gave us an idea of what it would be like to be engineers in the real world, which is really valuable as a senior who's trying to decide his major. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the research itself. What did we do with these resources? And so our research was split into 2 components: a system that can detect the potholes and a system that can fill the potholes. The pothole detection system, which you can see on the left of the screen, uses what's called a LiDAR sensor. While it may seem complicated, it's pretty simple. All it does is it shoots out a beam of light and records how much time it takes for that beam of light to return. Based on that value, we're able to map the surroundings because the LiDAR sensor is constantly taking values. We were able to use this sensor to generate a 3D image of a pothole, which not only allowed us to detect the pothole, but estimate its volume. So in the image you can see here, we were able to use a LiDAR sensor to create a map of a real pothole that we found outside on the road. This pothole we could not only detect, but estimate its volume, which was key to the second part of our operation, which was filling it. By knowing the pothole's volume, we knew how much material we needed to put in to fill it. And so that's what we did. We developed a system, a prototype, using a 3D printer and a dispenser system to locate the pothole based on the LiDAR sensor and fill the pothole. So you can see on the left here, it's an example of our dispenser system. The big blue cone held our pothole filling material, which was called instant asphalt. And the little cap at the bottom was able to spin to allow us to dispense the material to the appropriate amount. This prototype was extremely successful in filling the test potholes that we made, and we're confident that if we were to design this and develop it into a real system, it would work well in an urban environment. And so that's what we did here. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a city sweeper in an urban environment, but the nice thing about a city sweeper is that it cleans the road in front of it. Basically, we were able to integrate our design into current city sweeper infrastructure. This meant that the city sweeper would detect the pothole at the front of the sweeper, clean out the pothole with its brushes that you can see on the screen, and then fill the pothole with the dispenser system on the back. By doing this, we were able to take our theoretical model and implement it into a potential real-world solution. And that's something we're continuing to explore further. Like I said earlier, this culminated into a final research paper and a presentation that we gave at Rutgers University to friends, families, and Rutgers professors. The research paper was about 15 pages long, and it highlighted our entire journey, a snippet of what I showed you today, talking about our method, a little bit about the problem, and how we solved it, and how we anticipate it could be useful in the future. We then presented this research to Rutgers professors and our families, and this presentation was almost a mock presentation for what we were going to do next, which was present at the MIT Undergraduate Technical Conference. To present at MIT, we had to apply, and we submitted our paper for review by different MIT professors and other people in the field. Once we were accepted, we presented at MIT along with about 500 other peers. Most of them were undergraduates or graduate students. All of our papers were published in IEEE Explore, which is the world's largest technical journal, and it's an accomplishment that me and my group is really proud of. The MIT Undergraduate Technical Conference, besides being an amazing opportunity just to present at MIT, was a really good opportunity to network. There were colleges there were industry professionals there, and so we really could talk to a lot of people and learn a lot just from being there. So it was a really great experience, and I'm forever grateful to the Governor's School of Engineering and Hunterdon Central for nominating me. Like I've been saying, doing this in 3 weeks was not an easy task, and I think that Hunterdon Central really prepared me to get through this project. Hunterdon Central prepared me in a lot of ways. The first and the biggest one being the engineering skills I needed to contribute to the project. Obviously, this design took a lot of engineering, and I'm really happy that we have so many extracurricular activities here at Central that allowed me to develop those skills before going into the Governor's School program. Along with that, I found that I had really strong writing and communication skills upon entering the program, along that not only matched, but sometimes even exceeded my peers. And as I'm going to talk about in a little bit, AP Research and AP Seminar were huge in developing those skills. On top of that, we had a limited budget, so I had to learn to use the finance and budget planning skills and just teamwork and future planning. And Central has come together in such a way that helped me develop all of those skills. To start with engineering skills, the big place I've learned this from is our Hunterdon Central Team 3637, our robotics team. In this robotics team, which I've spent 4 years on, I've learned CAD, I've learned design skills, but most importantly, I've learned to problem solve. On the robotics team, which we spend 12, 15 hours a week, we spend every day, every meeting solving problems, whether it's the challenge given to us by FIRST, the organization that runs the competition, or challenge that we have with our own designs. The key to robotics is being able to adapt, be resilient, and really learn to solve problems. And I'm so happy that I was able to join this team and really participate on this team to get all those skills. Of course, while I was learning the problem solving, I also learned engineering skills. I got pretty proficient in CAD design, which were the models you've been seeing on the screen. And I also learned design skills. How do I engineer things in a way that they're structurally sound, that they can move freely and not be all stuck? So the robotics team has played a pivotal role in the engineering skills I've developed, along with some of the classes I've taken here at Central, like the engineering design classes. The next thing were writing and research skills. And a huge thank you to Ms. Donhauser and Ms. Stutzman for really developing these skills in me. In AP Research, we write a paper over the course of a year. In the governor's school, we did this in 3 weeks. But because I did AP Research before this, I knew every step of the research process. I knew how to write the paper, I knew how to collect my data, and that was all thanks to AP Research. I felt more than prepared just to write the paper, to collect the data, and I'm super happy that I took those classes. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about teamwork, future planning, and budgeting skills. And some of the student activities I've participated in and held leadership roles in have really helped me develop those. Clubs like the Future Business Leaders of America and Investing Club have helped me develop finance skills that allowed me to help my team work with a budget. And just by doing hands-on activities, which we have in all of our classes, group activities, I knew how to work with a team. And so Hunterdon Central has prepared me not only in the engineering skills, which is obviously the big portion of it, but also in the research writing skills and the teamwork skills and the budgeting skills to allow me to actually participate in this experience and get the most out of it. So I'm forever grateful for that. That's all I have for today, so thank you for listening. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things I would have done differently is tried to plan ahead a little more at the beginning of the 3-week phase. We had a lot of ideas to start with. It was a 6-person group, so everybody had their own ideas. And what seemed to end up happening was that everybody tried to contribute a little bit, and we weren't able to create a clear roadmap. Of course, this roadmap came together as we went on, and over the 3 weeks, we were able to end up with a final product. But if I could really do this all over again, I would sit my team down in one meeting and say, let's create a roadmap for every single day to know what exactly we have to do. That way we can alleviate stress from ourselves. One Saturday, we spent from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. just writing the paper. So I think if we were able to create a roadmap and plan that out just a little bit better, we'd be able to alleviate that stress a little bit and really space out our work in a nicer way. Thank you.
Yeah, really nice job with this. How were your groups created, the group that you worked with?
So the way the governor's school set this up was long before the program, about 8 weeks, we were given a set of different research fields. There was computer science, there was autonomous robotics, there was biomedical engineering, and we were to select our favorite fields and our favorite projects. The projects were very broad, so if I go back a couple slides, what we were initially given was research field, autonomous robotics system, and smart city infrastructure. I selected those 2 as my main research fields, and I was put into this group with 6 other people that had similar research fields. Yeah. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of the process?
My favorite part of the process was seeing the prototype actually work for the first time. The image that we generated of the pothole is still one of the coolest things I've seen, or I've done personally, because we were able to take this pothole that's like on the floor in the ground and transfer it to our computer in such a way that we could see it. And then we were able to take our 3D printer and actually fill the pothole with instant asphalt dispensing material. So just seeing that prototype work for the first time and demoing it was just, it's unbelievable. And that's what I really love about robotics on the Hunterdon Central Robotics team and with this research.
We'll move this. We'll set up for public comment. Did I miss that? Okay.
What's up, Ben? Can I just say I'm glad we went before him?
Right? I know. Okay.
I know this is crazy to believe, but we are still on the superintendent report. So thank you so much again, Parth. I hope you all enjoyed that. I really think it's important to highlight our students. Amazing job, wonderful job. And the best part is it will live on YouTube in perpetuity, so you can watch it again if you'd like. Oh, I'm still connected. All right, I'm going to disconnect after I finish this. Okay. Next, I do have our HIB and suspension report on the agenda. These are HIBs that were presented to you last month in executive session. Lastly, I did want to have one more recognition, and that is to honor and thank two of our outgoing Board of Education members, Mrs. Lori Blutfield and Mrs. Noelle O'Donnell. I'm going to clap. I know that we have resolutions for you on the agenda, but I felt compelled to thank you both for your service to our school district. You were both on the board when I joined the district in 2019, and I've seen your passion for education and for ensuring that students have a thriving educational experience at Central. I've greatly appreciated your perspectives and your support, and I'm confident in saying that you have both made an impact here at Central. So thank you so much again. And I will disconnect. And before I conclude my report, I want to wish our students and families a happy holiday and a relaxing and enjoyable winter break. And I will turn it back over to you, Mrs. Duggan.
Okay, so we will be moving into the first residents forum. This is an opportunity where members of the public have an opportunity to speak on any items that we'll be voting on that are on the agenda. If there's anybody that would like to speak, please feel free to come to the podium. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody, so then we'll move on to the organizational items. So to follow up on what Ms. Candelucci Hayde just said, so board member recognition, I would like to move to approve the following resolution for Ms. Lori Blutfield. Whereas your personal commitment to quality education, your valued participation in establishing effective policies, and your readiness to render services in seeking educational excellence has contributed immeasurably to the progress of our school system. Be it resolved that on behalf of your colleagues, teachers, and students, we would like to thank you for your dedicated service and wish you good health and happiness for your years to come. Board of Education member from 2022 through 2024. She's served on the Personnel Committee in 2022 through 2024, Chair 2023-24, Student Discipline Committee, which was Ad Hoc Committee in 2022. She served on the HCAA Negotiations Ad Hoc 2023-24, the HCEA Negotiation Ad Hoc in 2022, the HCRHS Homeschool Liaison in 2023, the New Jersey School Board's representative in 2022 and 2024, Racism, Equity, and Diversity Committee in 2023 and 24, and finally, the Superintendent Search Committee. She served as the chair in 2024. We'd like to thank you for all your time and all that you've done here. And I know this is your second term, so thank you very much. Third? Okay, third term. Okay. Now I'd like to recognize Ms. Noelle O'Donnell. Whereas your personal commitment to quality education, your valued participation in establishing effective policies, and your readiness to render services in seeking educational excellence have contributed immeasurably to the progress of our school system. Be it resolved that on behalf of your colleagues, teachers, and students, we would like to thank you for your dedicated service and wish you good health and happiness in the years to come. Board of Education member from 2018 through 2024. Student Life and Program Committee, she served from 2018 to 2024. The Hunterdon County School Boards Association Delegate, alternate for 2018 through 2022, and the delegate from 2023 to 2024. Hunterdon County ESC representative in 2018 and 2019. Racism, Equity, and Diversity Chair from 2020 through 2024. Reopening Ad Hoc Committee from 2020 through 2022. The Hunterdon County Polytech Liaison from 2022 to 2023. And the Communications Committee in 2023 and 2024. And we would also like to thank you for your service. And this is two terms, right? 2 terms. So thank you very much for your dedication to the school district. Sure, yeah. Okay, great. Okay, moving on to the third item, we have the school calendar that we've been discussing for the last couple of months. The fourth item is the election results. So we would like to welcome from the November 2024 elections for Delaware Township, Mrs. Jessica H.B. Rothell. She's coming in for the 3-year term. For Flemington Borough, we have Dr. Ellen Halpern. And I think Ellen's here with us. Congratulations, she's joining us for a 3-year term. And Reddington Township, we have Mrs. Leslie LaCosta. She's also joining for a 3-year term. So we'd like to congratulate you and welcome you, and we'll look forward to having you at the table with us in January. And Jessica, you're already here, so, so welcome. Okay, the fifth item is the HIB reports. And with that, I would like to move items 1 through 5 in the organizational. Do I have a second? Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Ms.
I would just like to say, Lori and Noel, of course, my time on the board, as well as Lori coming in with the experience that you had. It's been a pleasure to work with both of you, and I thank you both for your service.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to add, that Lori's actually completing her 9th year, just to be clear. And since it has been continuous, that's the reason why it appears as just 2 years. She's been a tremendous asset to this board. The strong board needs someone like Lori. She's always thoughtful in her deliberations. She has common sense, is able to see and communicate different perspectives. She's a great negotiator. Thank you for that. You realize that a lot of institutional knowledge that we need in this day is very soon. She's a very strong leader, though she may not hold the president or the position currently. For Noel, I would like to say that you've always been fully committed to the fair treatment of all students regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, or religion, so that we can support all the students in achieving their full potential. But maybe more importantly, she was there so that students would feel genuinely supported, valued, and understood. Again, Noel and Lori, thank you for being part of this board and for helping me this past year. I also wish you good health, good fortune, and much more time with your families going forward. And please come back to me.
Okay. Okay, great. Can we move to a roll call, please?
Mrs. Blackfield? Mrs. Duggan?
Yes.
Ms. Gong?
Yes.
Mrs. Hale?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson? Yes. Mrs. Rodell?
Yes.
Mr. Reimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Santangelo? All yes. All yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to student life and program. Mr. Reimer?
Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. Student Life and Programming met last Monday, and we have 8 items to move this evening. The first is for 4 new clubs at Hunterdon Central. The first is for Central Distributive Education Clubs of America, Hunterdon Central DECA, that's the abbreviation. And that club, you may be wondering, what the heck is that? I had to look it up myself. That club prepares students for entrepreneurship, leadership, marketing, finance, hospitality, and management. So definitely a really awesome club to be adding to our choices for these kids. Nurses, the second club is Nurses of the Future. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The third is Pioneers of Research Excellence, or PRE, and that club has to deal with medical research, and it also prepares students to compete in the Terra North New Jersey STEM Fair, which is a really challenging competition from what I understand. And the fourth is the Play It Forward Club, which students plan lessons for elementary school age children to build, nice connections and provide good role models for those elementary school students. I am a little surprised that we don't have a fifth introduction or a request for a club. Maybe something figure out what these drones are doing over our school club. That would be nice. Get the kids on that, but maybe next month. The second item we're going to move tonight is for two clubs that are being renamed. First, we have the Baking Club. I think they're going to add some protein to the diet and call it now the Culinary Club. The second is Jewish Alliance Club, and that'll be changed to Jewish Culture Club. The third item is for Work-Based Learning Site, a really cool site, Lambertville Animal Hospital. The fourth is the Achieve program for special education students, and if you look at the agenda, it lays out 59 businesses and charity organizations that our kids can participate in potentially. Really awesome list of places. Items 5 through 8 are all overnight trips. The first is for an overnight trip for the dance team in Kissimmee, Florida. They're going to be competing at the National Dance Team Championship at the ESPN Wild World of Sports. Number 6 is an overnight trip, JV and varsity cheerleading team, again in Florida, Orlando this time. They're going to be competing in the high school cheerleading championship. The number 7 is an overnight trip for the Ski and Board Club to Killington, Vermont. And number 8 is an overnight trip for the Hunterdon Central varsity softball team to go to Windermere, Florida to play in a tournament. And I'd like to move those 8 items.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have some concerns about the overnight trip for the Hunterdon Central varsity softball team. It looks like we are doing a trip about 2 weeks after the start of tryouts, and we have specific students who are listed there by ID number, and I'm just not sure how we can approve a trip and have students who are designated before tryouts take place. And even if these are sort of placeholders, I would think a trip where you're going on a plane, you have to make those plans far in advance. So any new students who might make the team, I'm not really sure how they would be able to go on a trip. That's supposed to be a bonding experience, supposed to help prepare the team for further competition. So I'm concerned that there's a fairness issue here. And I wouldn't want to be giving the impression that teams are being predetermined. As we all know, there's never a guarantee that just because someone's been on the team in the past doesn't mean that they have a definite spot in the future. So I'm not really sure how something like this works when it's for a team that hasn't been selected yet and is in that period right after tryouts. The other thing I don't know, NJSIAA has very specific rules. They have some rules in terms of number of teams that you can scrimmage before the actual season begins. I don't know if this would be any sort of violation of that. I'm just very concerned about a trip like this.
Yeah, certainly a valid concern, but I don't think it's coming out of left field. In fact, in 2021 and 2022, the board approved the wrestling team to go to Beast of the East in Delaware for 3 days. And that particular trip for the student athlete cost $3,500 per student and was paid for by family and by raising money. And those 2 consecutive years, the wrestling team, the board approved it before the rosters were chosen. So we have done this before. The concern is certainly valid, but I think also we've talked about putting a policy in place to deal with these requests in the future. And I just don't think, because we lack a policy, we should, restrict this team for having the opportunity to go down and compete. The only difference between 21 and 22, from what I can gather, for the wrestling team and the softball team, is that the softball team is planning on doing fundraising to pay for their coaches, whereas in 21 and 22, the wrestling team, Hunterdon Central Board actually approved to pay for the coaches to go down with the team to Delaware. And that's really the only difference that I could see in those 2 different scenarios. And I think if we were to pass it, knowing that we have the potentiality of fixing any concerns with a policy going into next month and prioritizing that, I really don't see too much of a downside.
Yeah, I don't think this is an issue of policy, though, and I actually don't recall that wrestling trip. Perhaps it shouldn't have been approved, but that was also, you said, in Delaware, so that was a drive. It would be very easy for new members of the team to be able to go on that trip. I'm just very concerned that it's being assumed that certain students are going on this trip, making plans ahead of time before they have actually made the team. And for any new students who make the team, they're not going to be able to do it. I mean, it's going to be cost prohibitive, even if they want to go on that trip. It's possible the team isn't even selected by then. I mean, I've seen sports teams where it takes more than 2 weeks to choose who's on varsity. So I just don't see how it's a bonding experience for a team and allowing them to compete when the team might not even be selected at that point. I just think it's opening up a whole bunch of fairness issues here.
Appreciate that. From what I gathered, Jesse Spencer, our athletic director, has talked at length with the varsity coach, and all we're really doing is either denying or approving that potential to go on the trip. And I personally just trust in our athletic director and the varsity coach to figure that out from there.
Is there any cost associated with any coverage while staff are at the trip or on the trip? Is there any cost incurred by the high school to fulfill any responsibilities that?
Yeah, there's a potentiality that we may have to hire a sub if one of the coaches is a teacher. I believe one is a phys ed teacher. So if they're gone for 2 days, there is the potentiality that we need to hire a sub.
That concerns me a little bit, just because we did hear from students at the last meeting talking about the equitable application of funds and resources and opportunities, and it's a little bit uncomfortable to perhaps put something through. I wouldn't want to deny someone an opportunity, and then say we're going to, put a stop. I'm not really comfortable with that.
That's a good point, but the difference in those 2 scenarios is that these kids are doing the fundraising to pay for the trip, and the other, they're coming from a club perspective, asking us to delegate money from our budget, and that's the difference in my eyes.
Would the money come from to cover any substitute or anything?
That would come from our budget, but that's a pretty small expenditure in my opinion, to provide such a unique opportunity for these girls to go on a trip and compete. That's just my opinion.
The only other concern I have is that a few years ago, we did hear from some people that had an issue with students missing class time for other events. So again, just in terms of equity and giving all students a fair chance, I think that it's a little messy.
I think if a student is in or out of school really should be based on their prior attendance record, how many days can they miss, and it should be up to the parents and the parents alone to decide whether it's a worthy effort for them to miss school.
I would just I guess I'm not really understanding the concerns when we have 3 other trips on the agenda. 2 of the other ones are also going to Florida overnight for extended stays. The dance team is going to be missing 3 full days of school plus a block, 2 blocks on another day. And they'll have 2 chaperones. Don't know if that will be need coverage, if those are teachers or not. The cheerleading team has they're going to be in Florida, same thing, 3 full days of missing school plus 2 blocks with 4 coaches who are going to be attending with them. The softball team looks like it has 2 missing days and only 2 coaches. So I'm not exactly sure where the concern is coming from specifically for softball when we're approving 3 other overnight trips.
Well, I guess what I would say in response to that is the cheerleaders and the dance team have already been selected, and they've qualified for these national tournaments as part of their program. So I think it's a different situation than approving a trip for a team that hasn't been selected yet. But all of that being said, my daughter is a varsity athlete, and if we are setting a new precedent that athletic teams get to take cool trips and go to Disney or Universal, I think it is a conflict for me to vote on this, and I am going to abstain from this vote.
Okay. Are we ready?
I just thought it was interesting, just all the student presentations that we saw this evening, and the time and the trips that the folks that we acknowledged this evening. But it is interesting that they didn't get to go to Florida. So I think we should, as a board, really look at a policy and try and make it equitable, especially in light of the student who spoke, or the 2 students who spoke last month, about the inequity between transportation for sports athletics versus arts, theater, and other clubs.
I agree, and I think we have every intention in doing so.
Okay. Are we ready?
Go
ahead.
Just want to say, I don't think we should be penalizing the kids for an administrative issue, and we can take it up in policy, and we can certainly address it there. But these kids have worked hard, and they deserve to go.
Yeah, so again, this is not a policy issue. This is, to me, this is a fairness issue, that we're approving something for players who haven't been selected. And we're having fundraising for, presumably, for players who haven't been selected. We're sort of making assumptions that certain students are going to be on the team before going through the tryout. And I've never seen that, or it certainly shouldn't be done where players are guaranteed. And I'm very concerned about new players who would make the team, who make the varsity team, who now don't get that same opportunity to go on that trip, or players who thought they would be making varsity who don't, and they are going on that trip. So that's where I see that to me is the big concern.
Lori, I do know that, again, we did approve a very similar trip in consecutive years, 21 and 22, and if there are new girls added to the team, they too will be included on the trip.
So again, I mean, I wasn't here in 21, and if I did it in 22, then it was an oversight. I happen to have noticed this because my kids played a spring sport, and so I saw the dates, and I just knew, wait a minute, this is like right after tryouts. So, but again, if the other trip had been to Delaware, I think if this were a driving trip, and I know for sure the team will be selected, we're approving the trip without the players and saying whoever makes varsity goes on this trip, and it's a drive, and it's an easy, thing to just say, okay, you guys made the team, you're now going on this trip. I'd have no problem with it. It's the issue of the airfare and having to plan ahead. That's where I have a concern.
Okay, can we vote?
Yep, we're ready to vote. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Reimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Santangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. Kellogg?
I'm a yes on items 1 through 7, and I abstain on item 8.
Ms. Gong?
I would abstain on item 8 and a yes on the other items.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes on the other items. I'm not comfortable, so I'm a no on the trip.
Mrs. Rothel?
Yes.
Mrs. Bletfield?
Yes on 1 through 7, no on 8.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Duggan?
Yes on 1 through 7, and I need to abstain on number 8.
So we have a majority for 8, so all motions carry.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to operations and transportation. We have, I think, about 15 items here to go through. So the first one is the financial reports for ending month October 31st, 2024. We have the invoices and the transfers, and you have all the report links there. The fourth item is the preliminary budget calendar. So Ms. Spitzer put that calendar together, and you can see it here. I can't believe it's budget planning time again. I feel like we just went through it. Right. The fifth one is a request for proposal for a demographic study. So this is a move to approve the business administrator to issue a request for proposal for professional services to conduct the demographic survey to actually get a better handle on, all the developments that we have, what's happening in the middle schools, coming up to the high schools, and just to prepare better for our future. Number 6 is a request for proposal for professional legal services. The last time we did this was in 2019. Number 7 is a joint transportation agreement with the Washington Township School District for $33,714. We also have a joint transportation agreement with the Burlington County Special Service School District. This is for $8,316. Number 9, we're amending the renewal of the craft transportation routes. This is from January to the end of June. And you'll see all the different districts in here, so it'll carry us through this school year. Number 10, we would like to purchase 4 54-passenger school buses from Hunterdon Central directly. So this would be Hunterdon Central funds to purchase these buses at a total of $622,940. The 11th is to apply and accept the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation grant for up to $750. And this would help reduce the cost of transportation for curriculum. This is the Holocaust and the Human Behavior trip to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. Number 12, we would like to accept with gratitude the following donations from the American Red Cross. The first is $750 for the Red Cross Club, and the second is $1,000 for the Physical Education Department. Number 13, this is great because this is for the cookies and cocoa event for the staff tomorrow. We would like to accept with gratitude the donation of the gift card from ShopRite valued at $100. This helped us offset some of the costs for the supplies that we'll be using tomorrow. And then number 14, this is the memorandum of understanding sheltering and mass care facilities. The 15th and final is moving to accept professional services from Rutgers University Behavioral Health Care for bedside instruction, and James Shoup, who is a purchasing consultant service. So with that, I would like to move O&T items 1 through 15.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say thank you to Sandra Gong for helping us get that ShopRite donation.
Yep.
That'll be very
Thank you.
valuable.
It was my pleasure.
You have some connections over there at ShopRite.
I do a lot of shopping there.
I just have a couple of comments. First of all, I'm very happy to see that we're doing a demographic study. We've been talking about that for a long time, so glad that's finally getting done. Also, though, the RFP for legal services, I get that it's been a while and that it's an important thing to do at some point. I just think now is not the right time. You know, I think we need some consistency. We have a superintendent who's only been in her role for a couple of months. We have a new director of curriculum, some new supervisors. We have a fairly new communications director, an interim director of special services. There's just been a lot of change going on at the top. I think we need the consistency. We need someone who knows the history of our school, who's familiar with some of our longstanding cases. I just think that this is just not the right time. So I would urge everyone to just hold off on this for now.
So, I mean, the RFP is going to be open to all vendors, including our current vendors, to respond. And it's just, we talked about doing this in June, and so now it's December. So this request is to actually allow Heather to kind of get the wheels in motion so that we can kind of launch it off for early next year.
Is this request coming from Heather because it's that time in the cycle, or who's this request coming from?
The request is coming from the board because we had talked about this a couple of times. So we talked about this in January, we talked about this in June. Actually, we talked about it in January, we said we would do it in June, and then kind of just inquiring about it and finding out that we haven't done an RFP since 2019 for legal services. It just seems like it's the right thing to do for fiscal responsibility for the school district.
I have to disagree. In terms of fiscal responsibility, it sounds very expensive to interview and bring new attorneys up to speed on some very serious litigation the district is facing. It doesn't sound like a fiscal issue for me to do this right now in a good way.
Any other conversation? Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Kellogg?
Yes on all but number 6. I'm voting no on that.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Santangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes to all but number 6.
Are you voting no on that? You're voting no on 6? Okay. Ms. Gong?
Yes, on everything except for number 6.
Mr. Reimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Bletfield?
No for number 6, yes for everything else.
Mrs. Rothel?
Yes.
And Mrs. Duggan?
Yes.
Okay. There's a majority for number 6, so it passes, and all the rest, all yes, motion's carried.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Bletfield, personnel, one last time.
We have 18 items on the agenda for tonight. We have one retirement, Susan Rangillian, hope I pronounced that correctly, executive assistant in the business office with over 7 years of service, and I know she will be missed, but we wish her well in retirement. We have one resignation of a paraprofessional, and number 2, we have some contractual salary appointments. We have a science teacher who's been a long-term sub in the district. We have a manager of operations to replace Mr. Thornton, a duty release aide, and a supervisor to replace the dean of students. Number 4, we have 2 hourly HCTV student tech appointments. Then we have a minimum wage rate increase for 2025. We are approving a nurse chaperone rate in number 6. That still needs a little bit more research, so that may eventually be changing, but for now, we need to have some rate there. Number 7, we are appointing a nurse chaperone for the Vermont Ski Club trip. Then we have the appointment of radio show moderators in 8, home instructors in 9. Number 10, we have a 6-block stipend to cover an unexpected leave in a science class. In 11, we have professional development, including 3 staff members who will be presenting at Texpo. Then we have a Schedule D coach for girls flag football in the spring, Schedule D unpaid volunteer coaches, and number 14, Schedule C unpaid advisors for some new clubs. Number 15, we have unified sports coaching stipends. This was previously paid with grant money, but is now part of the most recent sidebar with the HCEA. We have some amendments in 16, leaves of absences in 17. And then finally, 18, we are amending the appointment of the interim assistant superintendent to change the end date now that we've hired our director of curriculum and instruction. So for the final time, I will move personnel items 1 through 18.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'm just going to point out real fast that I will recuse myself from 12 for family relationship.
Okay. Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Rothel?
Yes, with the exception of 12.
Mr. Reimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Kellogg?
Yes.
Mrs. Santangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. Bletfield?
Yes.
Ms. Gong?
Yes.
And Mrs. Duggan?
Yes.
All yes, motion carries.
Great. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. Moving on to additional business.
We have policy, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mrs. Peterson, policy, please. Sorry about that.
We only have one, so it's okay.
It's such a small group here.
We are moving tonight for the moving forward with the second read of our student use of personal electronic devices policy. We decided to remove any cross-references to other internal policies within the manual because that just leads to more frequent updates as other policies have to be updated. So removing those other 2 policy pursuant to's doesn't change the meaning or the scope of the policy in any way, so we are moving forward with it for a second read tonight. And then the committee just talked briefly about what we hope everything will look like in the new year. As we said, we weren't going to be doing any other first reads for December, so this is our sole policy for tonight, and with that, I move item number 1.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call, please, Mrs. Starks?
Mrs. Kellogg?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mrs. Santangelo?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mr. Reimer?
Yes.
Mrs. Bletfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Rothel?
Yes.
Ms. Gong?
Yes.
And Mrs. Duggan?
Yes.
All yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, now moving on to additional business. So do we have any committee member liaison reports? Ms. O'Donnell? No?
I was going to leave it to Jess to really describe sort of the new process for equity, if you would.
Okay.
Okay. So one of our goals deals with inclusive opportunities, and we spoke about really defining what the care committee does and the work that it does. So I put together a proposal. We discussed it, Mrs. Bletfield, Mrs. O'Donnell, and I. I did link it for everybody in the minutes so that you can go through it. But it goes beyond policy 8100. It talks about enhancing school climate. And we will soon be hopefully administering our school climate and culture survey, building inclusion in our school community, encouraging collaboration with parents, community organizations, businesses, things like that, monitoring the progress along those goals, and then also empowering the student voice. The proposal also has some suggestions for composition of membership, who should the committee be comprised of, how often they should meet, what their term should be, how they're appointed to the committee, and some metrics for evaluating the committee work along the way. Then there's also some additional considerations about how we'll communicate budget and resources that we may need, and then any other kind of initiatives, making sure that they align with the other work that the district is doing.
Okay.
Thanks for all your work on that and for, helping that work transition into its new form. I appreciate it.
Okay, I can give a quick update on the JTC. There hasn't been a lot of movement since the last meeting, but we are having a meeting tomorrow to look over some estimates on companies that will be able to help us value the assets to move along with the dissolution. So we'll have more in January to talk about that. Anybody else?
Ms. Gong, did you have anything on the Delegates Assembly?
I would do it at the end, but I can do it now. And thank you to Mrs. Peterson and Mrs. Duggan for allowing me to attend the NJSBA delegates meeting on Saturday morning of December 7th. I was a voting delegate because actually all board members can attend in person or online, but you can only have one voting member who must be present in person at these semi-annual meetings. And so what are you voting on? You're voting on resolutions to change, add language to the NJSBA bylaws or to the Positions and Policies Manual. I didn't even know that there was one. There were about 75 voting members from across New Jersey schools at this meeting. It was my first opportunity to attend a delegates meeting, and as I said, thank you to Mrs. Peterson, who has attended the one earlier this year. What's really interesting are the comments made by board members who are in favor of a resolution or who are against a resolution. And strict parliamentary procedures are followed. There is, in fact, an official parliamentarian making sure that people follow the 12th edition of Robert's Rules. So I think earlier we heard about parliamentary learnings from some of our students. There was, and in addition, only voting delegates can make a comment and vote. You can attend, but you cannot make a public comment if you're not a voting delegate, which I also thought was interesting. There were 7 resolutions to be voted upon, and if we had a lot of time, I'd go through all 7, but I'm not going to. One resolution that I will share with you is that there was a requested change in the requirement that school boards post the notice of their meetings in 2 newspapers according to the OPMA, or the Open Public Meetings Act. Going forward, that would be difficult as physical newspapers are going digital. So the resolution that was voted on would allow school boards to post the required notice of their meetings electronically, and this resolution passed.
Thank you. Anything else? Or we can move on to the residence forum, the general residence forum. Okay. All right, so this is the second opportunity in the meeting where the public can come up and speak. You can have 5 minutes if there's anybody that wants to speak about anything. Okay, I am not seeing anyone. Oh, Mr. Brandt, there you go. Sorry.
Sorry, I won't be long.
You know the drill. Name, municipality. You have 5 minutes. I'm going to put the timer at 4 and it'll beep.
I just want to say thank you all for welcoming the students tonight, for coming a little early and giving an hour of the meeting time. I like to say, and I think about our students, especially the students who are in clubs that compete or perform with other students from other schools, and also our athletes that compete. They're our ambassadors. Right? People, students and parents in other schools in the area don't know us, meaning you, board members, me, the principal, but they get in contact and they get to know them. And I think it's awesome to be able to recognize them, and I think you got a sense of just what great ambassadors we have here for Hunterdon Central. They are the students that are ambassadors day in and day out, again, coming in contact with other students and parents and adults outside of our district. So the rest of the state gets to see what a special group we have. So I want to say thank you very much for welcoming them here tonight. And again, in 6 months. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to any additional board comments? Go ahead, Lily.
I'd first of all like to thank everyone for the opportunity to have served another 3 years on Hunterdon Central's Board of Education. I have learned a lot during my tenure, have had the opportunity to work with some incredible people, and have made many lasting friendships. Having had 3 kids graduate from this school and thrive in college and afterwards, thanks in part to their education here, Hunterdon Central has a special place in my heart. As we have seen just tonight, Central is filled with bright, passionate, and talented students, and with incredible, caring, and dedicated staff members who are committed to this district and its students. I'd like to thank the teachers, administration, and other staff members for everything you do to make Central such a phenomenal place and for your unwavering support of our students. I'm sorry I won't have more time to work with Ms. Cangelosi-Hayde, but I know Central is in good hands with your leadership. I'd also like to thank my fellow board members for your time and commitment to serve on this board. During my 9 years as a board member, I have always tried to make decisions in the best interests of all of our students, a philosophy I would like to think is shared by everyone who runs to be a member of a Board of Education. My hope is that both our current and new board members will never lose sight of the fact that we are here for the students. Let them guide your decisions. Be supportive of the staff, be role models, be leaders, and most of all, be champions for our students. Thank you, and happy holidays, everybody.
I'll just add a thank you so much to Jess and to the board and the staff and teachers and students and everybody here. 2 terms on the board has been an incredible experience. I've learned so much, and I think the most important thing I've learned is I keep hearing how we're in the people business, and we really are, and Central is full of great people, and I think, the more we can focus on that, the better off we'll be. This is a really great place with incredible students, and I've been really lucky to be able to serve, so thank you.
Okay, with that, I would like to have us convene into executive session where we'll be talking about a legal update with no action after the meeting. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so we will go into executive session now.